I was the nurse ordered to kill you. My blood froze. My mother Rosa said as her final breath was just minutes away. Sophia, she gasped, using a name she'd never called me before. I need to tell you the truth about the night you were born. Welcome back, my friends and family. This is part 2 of our beautiful story. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I truly invite you to go back and experience the beginning of this emotional journey. But if you've already walked with us through part 1, then sit back, open your heart, and let's continue together, because what comes next will touch you even deeper.
Sophia, darling, are you all right? Cassandra asked, coming toward me. You look pale. I stepped back from her embrace. I need to ask you something, and I need the complete truth. Were you involved with Marcus? During the time you were with Vincent? The room went completely silent. Vincent's face darkened.
Cassandra went white. And Marcus looked guilty. How dare you ask that? Vincent said, his voice dangerous. After everything we've been through, you're questioning your mother's integrity? But it was Cassandra's reaction that told me everything. The way she couldn't meet my eyes. The way her hands trembled. The way she looked at Marcus with something like panic. Tell her, Marcus said quietly. She deserves to know. Know what? Vincent demanded, looking between them. What is going on? Cassandra sank into a chair, tears streaming down her face. I loved you, Vincent. I need you to know that. I loved you completely. But before you, there was Marcus. We were together first. He introduced us, remember? At that charity gala? What you didn't know was that Marcus and I had been lovers for months. We'd broken up just before that night, and I was heartbroken, vulnerable. You were kind and charming, and everything Marcus wasn't. Vincent looked like he'd been shot. You were with Marcus? My best friend. And neither of you told me? We ended it the moment you and I became serious, Cassandra said. I swear.
So scared.
Vincent, from the moment I fell in love with you, there was no one else.
I'm here with you.
That's not entirely true, Marcus said, his voice heavy with regret. There was one night. You'd had a fight with Vincent about leaving Vivian. You came to me upset, drunk. We made a mistake. It was just once, but it was during the time when Sophia would have been conceived. The floor seemed to disappear beneath my feet. So you don't know, I said, my voice hollow. You don't know who my father is. Vincent or Marcus. Vincent stood up slowly, his face a mask of betrayal and rage. 25 years, he said to Marcus. 25 years of friendship. You helped me mourn her. You held me when I cried over losing my daughter. And all that time, you knew she might be yours? You knew you'd betrayed me? I wanted to tell you, Marcus said. So many times. But then Cassandra was gone, the baby was supposedly dead, and I thought, what was the point? Why destroy our friendship over something that could never be fixed? Get out, Vincent said, his voice deadly quiet. Both of you. Get out of my office. Get out of my life. Vincent, please, Cassandra started, but he cut her off with a look that could have frozen hell. I mourned you. I wanted to die without you. I nearly jumped off a building because I couldn't live with the guilt of losing you and our daughter. And now I find out our entire relationship was built on lies? That the daughter I just found might not even be mine? That my best friend has been lying to me for 25 years? Get out now. If you're still watching this emotional roller coaster, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell. This story of family betrayal and corporate conspiracy is far from over. Leave a comment about who you think Sophia's real father is. I stood frozen as Cassandra and Marcus left, Cassandra sobbing, Marcus looking older than his years. When they were gone, Vincent turned to me, and the pain in his eyes was unbearable. I need to know, he said. I need to know if you're really mine. Not because it changes how I feel about you. You saved my life, and that creates a bond regardless of blood. But I need to know if anything in my life has been real. I pulled out the envelope Vivian had given me. She gave me the name of an independent lab. We can both get tested. Find out the truth once and for all. Vincent took the envelope, his hands shaking. Vivian did this. Why would she help? Maybe because, for once, she was actually trying to protect you. Or maybe because she wants to cause more chaos. I don't know what to believe anymore. We stood there in silence for a moment, two people who'd thought they'd found each other, now wondering if they were strangers after all. But then Vincent did something unexpected. He pulled me into a fierce hug. "I don't care what the test says," he whispered. "You saved my life when you had no reason to care. You stood up to Vivian and Drake. You've shown more courage and integrity in 3 days than most people show in a lifetime. Blood or not, you're family to me now." The tears came then, for Rosa, for the mother I thought I'd found, for the father I might be losing, for the simple life that had become so impossibly complicated. Vincent held me while I cried, and in that moment, I realized that family wasn't just about DNA. It was about choice, about loyalty, about love that transcended biological bonds. But I still needed to know the truth. And as I looked out at the city below, I remembered Maria's key, the safety deposit box that held Rosa's final secrets. Whatever was in that box, whatever truth was waiting to be discovered, I would face it. Because if the last few days had taught me anything, it was that lies, no matter how well-intentioned, always found their way to the light. The war for the Hawthorne Empire wasn't over. It was evolving, becoming something more complex, more personal. And at the center of it all was a question that would determine everything.
I'm so sorry.
Who was my real father? The answer would come soon enough. But first, I had a safety deposit box to open and a truth to uncover that would, as Maria had warned, change everything. The next morning, I stood outside Chase Bank on Madison Avenue, the key Maria had given me feeling like it weighed 1,000 pounds in my pocket. Vincent had wanted to come with me, but I needed to do this alone. Whatever Rosa had hidden, whatever truth she'd taken to her grave, I had to face it myself first. The bank manager, a stern woman with silver hair, led me to the vault after verifying my identity. It turned out Rosa had added me as an authorized user years ago, when I turned 18. She'd been planning for this day for 7 years. Box 1847 was larger than I expected. Inside were stacks of documents, photographs, and at the very top, a letter in Rosa's handwriting with my name on it. My hands shook as I opened it. "My dearest Sophia, if you're reading this, then I am gone and the truth has finally found you. Please forgive me for the lies, for the silence, for keeping you from your birthright for so long. Everything I did was to protect you, but I realize now that protection and prison can sometimes be the same thing. The night you were born, I was prepared to follow Vivian's orders. The money she offered would have saved my own family from poverty. But when I held you, when you looked at me with those extraordinary eyes, I saw something that changed everything. I saw my own daughter, the one I lost 15 years before you were born. The same eyes, the same spirit. It was like God was giving me a second chance. But that's not the only reason I saved you. The truth is, I knew your mother before that night. Cassandra Pierce was not just Vincent's lover. She was my daughter's best friend in college. They were inseparable until my daughter died in a car accident. Cassandra was devastated, blamed herself because they were supposed to be together that night. She visited me often after that, and we became close, like family. When Cassandra got pregnant, she came to me. She was terrified, not of Vincent or Vivian, but of someone else. Someone who had threatened to kill her baby if she didn't cooperate with their plans. That someone was Gloria Hawthorne, Vincent's own mother. I dropped the letter, my mind reeling. Gloria, the woman who had helped me, who had stood by me against Vivian. She was the threat. I picked up the letter with trembling hands and continued reading. Gloria never approved of Cassandra. She saw her as a gold digger, a threat to the family fortune. But more than that, Gloria knew something about Cassandra that no one else did. Cassandra's father was Richard Sterling, Marcus Sterling's older brother, which made Marcus her uncle, not her lover. The relationship between Cassandra and Marcus was a cover story designed to hide the real truth, that Cassandra was already family, already had a claim to part of the Sterling-Hawthorne partnership that went back 50 years. Gloria couldn't let that happen. If Cassandra married Vincent and had his child, that child would inherit not just the Hawthorne fortune, but also the Sterling portion through Cassandra. It would concentrate too much power in one bloodline. So Gloria orchestrated everything. She brought Vivian and Trevor together, encouraged Vivian to have Drake, and when Cassandra got pregnant, she ordered the hit on both of you. But I couldn't let it happen. I saved you, hid you, raised you as my own. And all these years, I've been collecting evidence. In this box, you'll find recordings, documents, proof of everything. Gloria Hawthorne is not the grandmother you think she is. She's a killer who's been playing a longer game than anyone imagined. Be careful, my darling. Gloria is still dangerous. The fact that she's suddenly supporting you means she has a new plan, a new way to use you. Don't trust her. Don't trust anyone except Vincent. He's the only innocent in all of this. I love you more than words can express. You were my redemption, my second chance, my daughter in every way that mattered. Live the life I couldn't give you. Claim your birthright. But above all, survive. All my love, Rosa. I sat back in the cold metal chair of the bank's private viewing room, the letter crumpling in my grip. Gloria. Sweet, supportive Gloria who had stood up for me, who had called me granddaughter, who had seemed like my only ally besides Vincent. She had orchestrated everything. I dug deeper into the box, finding exactly what Rosa had promised. Recordings on old cassette tapes, photographs of Gloria meeting with Trevor Kane, bank statements showing payments from Gloria's personal accounts to the same doctor who had signed my death certificate. And at the very bottom, a DNA test report from 25 years ago, one that had never been filed. The report showed that Vincent Hawthorne was indeed my biological father. Marcus Sterling was listed as my uncle, not through blood but through Cassandra's hidden family connection. The test had been ordered by Gloria herself, which meant she'd known all along that I was Vincent's daughter, and she'd tried to have me killed anyway. My phone rang. Vincent, where are you? His voice was panicked. Gloria's here. She says she has something important to tell us about your mother and Marcus. Something about their real relationship. Don't trust her, I said quickly. Vincent, whatever she says, don't believe her. I have proof that she's behind everything. She's the one who wanted me dead. What are you talking about? Gloria knew I was your daughter. She had a DNA test done when I was born. She tried to have me and Cassandra killed because Cassandra is Richard Sterling's daughter. Marcus's niece, not his lover. If I inherit from you and through my mother's line, I'd control everything. Gloria couldn't let that happen. Silence on the other end, then a sound that might have been Vincent crying or laughing. I couldn't tell which. My mother, he said finally. My own mother tried to kill my child. She let me mourn for 25 years. She watched me nearly kill myself from grief, and she knew all along you were alive. I'm coming to you now. Don't let her leave. Call security, call the police, call everyone. She's not getting away with this. I gathered all the evidence, stuffing it into the bank bag they provided. As I left the bank, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You found Rosa's insurance policy. Good. But Gloria knows you know. She's already moving. Vincent's in danger. Hurry. I ran into the street, hailing a cab, my heart pounding. The ride to Hawthorne Tower felt like hours, but it was only minutes. When I burst into the lobby, security tried to stop me, not recognizing me in my casual clothes without Vincent by my side. I'm Sophia Hawthorne, I said, using my real name with authority for the first time. Vincent Hawthorne's daughter. Call up to his office. Tell him I'm here and it's an emergency. But the guard was already getting a call on his radio. His face went pale. Miss, there's been an incident in the penthouse. Mr. Hawthorne has collapsed. The ambulance is on its way. I ran for the private elevator, using the key card Vincent had given me. As the elevator rose, I prayed to whoever might be listening that I wasn't too late. That Gloria hadn't succeeded in killing another member of her own family. The penthouse was in chaos when I arrived. Paramedics were working over Vincent, who was unconscious on the floor. Cassandra was there, sobbing, being held back by Marcus. And Gloria stood in the corner, calm as ever, watching the scene with cold calculation. What did you do? I screamed at her, rushing to Vincent's side. He had a heart attack, Gloria said smoothly. The stress of learning about Cassandra and Marcus's relationship must have been too much. His heart couldn't take it. But I saw the wine glass on the table, the one Gloria had been holding when I'd called. The one Vincent had probably drunk from while listening to his mother's lies. Test that glass, I told the paramedics. Test it for poison. This woman tried to kill him. Gloria laughed, cold and dismissive. You're hysterical, dear. Grief does strange things to people. First Rosa, now Vincent. You seem to be bad luck for the people who care about you. I pulled out my phone, finding the recording app, and played Rosa's tape. Gloria's voice, younger but unmistakable, filled the room. The baby and Cassandra both need to die. Make it look natural. I don't care how you do it. Just get it done. That child cannot be allowed to inherit. The room went silent except for the sound of the paramedics working. Gloria's face had gone white, then red, then settled into a mask of cold fury. You stupid little girl, she said. You have no idea what you've done. The empire I've spent 50 years building, the legacy I've protected, and you're going to destroy it all for what? Sentiment? Love? Family? You tried to kill your own granddaughter, I said. A baby. An innocent child. For money. For power. Gloria moved toward me, and suddenly she had a knife in her hand, pulled from somewhere in her designer jacket. But before she could take another step, Cassandra was there, stepping between us. Not again, Cassandra said, her voice steel. You're not taking her from me again. Gloria smiled, cold and vicious. Ah, the Sterling Princess finally shows some backbone. Tell me, dear, have you told Sophia the whole truth? About how your father and Marcus's father built their fortune? About the blood on the Sterling money? About why I couldn't let a Sterling heir control everything? I don't care about any of that, I said. I don't care about the money or the empire or the legacy. I just want my father to live. I want the family you tried to destroy. The paramedics were loading Vincent onto a stretcher. His heart rate was weak but steady. One of them had bagged the wine glass as evidence, nodding at me to confirm they would test it. He's stable, one said. But we need to get him to the hospital now. As they wheeled Vincent toward the elevator, Gloria made her move. Not toward me, but toward the balcony doors. She threw them open and stepped out onto the terrace, the same one where Vincent had almost jumped just days ago. You want the truth? She called out. The whole truth. Fine. I killed them all. Every threat to my family's power. Cassandra's father when he tried to blackmail me. The doctor who helped deliver Sophia when he tried to extort more money. Rosa's first cancer was my doing too, though she was stronger than I expected. And now Vincent, my own son, because he was too weak to do what needed to be done. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Someone had called the police. Gloria stood at the railing, looking out over the city she'd tried to rule through manipulation and murder. But I failed, she said, turning back to look at me. You survived. The one person who could destroy everything, and you survived. Rosa raised you well, made you strong, gave you the conscience I tried to breed out of this family. And now you'll inherit it all. The Hawthorne fortune. The Sterling legacy. Everything I killed to protect. She climbed up onto the railing, balancing perfectly despite her age. Don't, I said, moving toward her. Don't do this. Face justice. Pay for what you've done. Gloria laughed, and for the first time, she sounded genuinely amused. Justice. My dear child, there is no justice for people like me. There's only power and the will to use it. I used mine to build an empire. You'll use yours to destroy it with your conscience and your morality and your love. But at least I won't be here to see it. She looked at me one last time, and I saw something in her eyes that might have been regret. Or maybe it was just disappointment that her plans had failed. Tell Vincent I'm sorry, she said. Not for what I did, but for not succeeding. Then she stepped backward off the railing, falling 50 floors to the street below, just as her son had almost done. But unlike Vincent, no one was there to save her. No one wanted to. Please, if you're still watching, take a moment to subscribe and share this story. Sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones who claim to love us. Leave a comment about whether you think Gloria deserved her fate. The aftermath was swift and chaotic. Police, investigators, reporters all descending on Hawthorne Tower. Gloria's confession had been recorded on multiple phones. The wine glass tested positive for digitalis, a heart medication that in high doses could cause exactly the symptoms Vincent had shown. He would survive, the doctors said, but it had been close. I sat in his hospital room, holding his hand while he slept, when Marcus and Cassandra came in. They looked older, defeated, worn down by the weight of decades of lies. "We owe you an explanation," Cassandra said. "The whole truth this time." "I already know," I said, too tired to be angry anymore. "You're Richard Sterling's daughter. Marcus is your uncle." The whole relationship story was a cover to hide your real identity from Gloria. Marcus nodded. "My brother Richard had an affair with a senator's wife. Cassandra was the result. When Richard died, he left everything to her in a secret trust. If Gloria had known, she would have had Cassandra killed years before she met Vincent. So we created the story about us being lovers. It was supposed to protect her. But it just gave Gloria more ammunition," Cassandra added. "When she found out the truth, she used it to justify trying to kill me and you. Said she was protecting the family from Sterling contamination." Vincent stirred, his eyes opening slowly. When he saw me, he smiled weakly. "Still here?" He whispered. "After everything you've learned, you're still here? Where else would I be?" I asked. "You're my father. That's been confirmed by 3 different DNA tests now. And more importantly, you're the one person in this whole mess who never lied to me. Never tried to use me. You just wanted your daughter back." Vincent squeezed my hand, then looked at Cassandra and Marcus. "You two have some explaining to do," he said, his voice stronger. "But not now. Now, we focus on rebuilding. On being the family we should have been from the start. Marcus, you're still my best friend, even if you're also my daughter's uncle. Cassandra, I never stopped loving you, even when I thought you were dead. And Sophia, you're the miracle I never thought I'd receive." The road ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be legal battles over Gloria's estate, criminal investigations into all the deaths she'd caused or attempted, media scrutiny that would dissect every aspect of our lives. Drake was still out there, plotting with Trevor from prison. Vivian had disappeared, but I knew she'd surface eventually, probably with another scheme. But for now, in that hospital room, we were just a family reunited after 25 years of separation. Imperfect, complicated, bound by blood and lies and love, but family nonetheless. As I looked out the window at the city Gloria had tried to rule through fear and murder, I made a promise to myself and to Rosa's memory. I would claim my birthright, not for power or money, but to transform the Hawthorne empire into something better. Something built on truth instead of lies, on love instead of fear. The poor maid who'd saved a billionaire from jumping was gone. In her place stood Sophia Hawthorne, heir to 2 fortunes, daughter of star-crossed lovers, granddaughter of a monster, but most importantly, survivor of a war she hadn't even known she was fighting. And the war wasn't over yet. 3 weeks passed in a blur of legal proceedings, media frenzy, and corporate damage control. Gloria's death had sent shockwaves through New York's elite society, and her recorded confession had sparked investigations into dozens of suspicious deaths and disappearances over the past 30 years. The Hawthorne empire was under siege, not from competitors, but from law enforcement, journalists, and vengeful victims of Gloria's schemes. Vincent recovered slowly but steadily, throwing himself into work as therapy. He made me executive vice president, a move that caused several board members to resign in protest. Who was this unknown daughter, they asked, to suddenly appear and claim such power? But Vincent stood firm, and with Marcus's legal expertise and Cassandra's surprising business acumen, we began to stabilize the company. It was a Thursday morning when everything changed again. I was in my new office, reviewing contracts, when my assistant announced a visitor. Before I could respond, Vivian walked in, looking immaculate in a white Chanel suit, as if the last month hadn't happened. "Hello, daughter-in-law," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Or should I say, stepdaughter? The family dynamics have gotten so confusing lately. "Security is on their way," I said, reaching for the panic button Vincent had installed. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Vivian said, setting a tablet on my desk. Not unless you want the world to see this. The screen showed a video, grainy but clear enough. It was Vincent from 26 years ago, younger, desperate looking, in what appeared to be a warehouse. He was talking to a man I didn't recognize, handing over a briefcase. Listen carefully, Vivian said, turning up the volume. Vincent's younger voice filled the room. I need Richard Sterling dead. Make it look like an accident. I don't care how much it costs. He's trying to destroy everything my family built. He has to go. My blood ran cold. Richard Sterling was Cassandra's father. My grandfather. And Vincent had ordered his death? That's not possible, I said, but my voice shook. Vincent loved Cassandra. He wouldn't have killed her father. Oh, but he did, Vivian said, sitting down across from me like we were having a casual chat. You see, Vincent didn't know Richard was Cassandra's father at the time. Nobody did. Richard had kept her existence secret. Vincent thought he was just eliminating a business rival who was threatening a hostile takeover. It was Gloria who suggested it, of course. But Vincent's the one who paid for the hit. Even if this is real, it doesn't matter now. Gloria confessed to killing Richard. Did she? Vivian smiled. She confessed to killing them all. But she was very careful never to name Richard specifically. Because she knew this video existed. She knew that if the truth came out, Vincent would go to prison for conspiracy to commit murder. No statute of limitations on that, dear. What do you want? Everything, Vivian said simply. I want my divorce settlement reversed. I want Drake reinstated as heir. I want you to disappear again, this time permanently. And I want Vincent to step down as CEO, naming me as his successor. Otherwise, this video goes to the FBI, the media, everyone. Vincent will spend his remaining years in prison, and you'll be the daughter of a convicted murderer. The Hawthorne empire will crumble, and you'll have nothing. You're forgetting something, I said, my mind racing. If Vincent goes down, you go down too. You were married to him. You benefited from Richard's death. You're an accessory after the fact. Vivian laughed. Oh, my dear, I've already made a deal with the prosecutors. Full immunity in exchange for my testimony about Vincent and Gloria's crimes. They're very interested in what I have to say. The only question is whether I give them this video as part of my cooperation, or whether we handle this privately, like civilized people. I stared at her, this woman who'd tried to have me killed as a baby, who'd lied and schemed for decades, who was now holding my father's life in her hands. I need time to think, I said. You have 24 hours, Vivian said, standing. After that, I go public with everything. Oh, and don't bother trying to find the original video. It's in a safety deposit box in Switzerland, with instructions to release it if anything happens to me. I learned from Gloria's mistakes. Always have insurance. She walked to the door, then turned back. You know, you really do look like Cassandra. She had the same self-righteous expression when she thought she was doing the right thing. Look how that turned out for her. After she left, I sat frozen, staring at the tablet she'd left behind. The video played on repeat, Vincent's young voice condemning him over and over. I need Richard Sterling dead. Make it look like an accident. My phone rang. Vincent. Sophia, I just heard Vivian was in the building. Are you okay? What did she want? I couldn't tell him. Not over the phone. Not without understanding what this meant. What had really happened 26 years ago. We need to talk, I said. You, me, Cassandra, and Marcus. In person. Now. An hour later, we were all in Vincent's penthouse, the same room where Gloria had tried to poison him, where she confessed to her crimes before jumping. I played the video without saying anything, watching their faces change from confusion to horror to something worse, resignation. It's real, Vincent said quietly when it ended. I did that. I hired someone to kill Richard Sterling. I didn't know he was Cassandra's father, but that doesn't matter. I'm responsible for his death. Cassandra was crying silently, her face a mask of betrayal and pain. You killed my father, she whispered. The man I loved killed my father. I didn't know, Vincent said, reaching for her, but she pulled away. Gloria told me he was going to destroy us, that he had information that would ruin the company. She said it was him or us. I was young, stupid, scared. I made a terrible choice. Marcus had been silent, but now he spoke up. This is why Gloria was so determined to keep Sophia away. If the truth came out, if anyone connected Richard's death to Vincent, it would destroy everything. She wasn't protecting the family fortune. She was protecting Vincent from prison. And now Vivian has us trapped, I said. She wants everything, the company, the money, me gone. Or she releases this to the FBI. Let her, Vincent said, and we all turned to stare at him. I'm tired of lies, tired of secrets, tired of living with this guilt. I've carried this for 26 years. Maybe it's time I paid for what I did. No, Cassandra said, surprising everyone. You're not going to prison. Not for something Gloria manipulated you into doing. Not when you've already lost 25 years with your daughter because of it. But I killed your father, Vincent said. How can you forgive that? Because I know who my father really was, Cassandra said, her voice stronger now. Richard Sterling wasn't a good man. He was blackmailing half of New York's elite, including Gloria. He had files on everyone, used them to force business deals, destroy competitors. He would have ruined you, Vincent, and enjoyed doing it. That doesn't justify murder, but I understand why Gloria saw him as a threat. So what do we do? I asked. Give in to Vivian's demands? No, Marcus said, and there was something in his voice I'd never heard before. A hardness, a determination. We fight back. Vivian thinks she holds all the cards, but she's forgotten something important. Trevor Kane is in federal prison, and he's looking at life without parole. But that could change if someone offered him a deal. What kind of deal? I asked. Trevor has information on Vivian that she doesn't know he kept. Records of her involvement in his illegal activities. Money laundering, bribery, conspiracy to commit murder. He's been holding on to it as insurance, just like she's doing with this video. But if we can get to him first, offer him a reduced sentence in exchange for that information, we'd have leverage. Vincent finished. Mutually assured destruction. She releases the video. We release Trevor's evidence. It's risky, Cassandra said. Trevor hates us. Why would he help? Because he hates Vivian more, Marcus said. She betrayed him, let him take the fall alone, abandoned Drake when he needed her most. Trevor's been sending messages from prison, looking for revenge. We just have to give him the opportunity. I thought about Drake, about how lost he'd looked when he learned the truth about his parentage. He'd been in hiding since his arrest at the hospital, but I knew he was still out there, probably plotting with his biological father. There's another problem, I said. Drake. He's still a threat, and if Vivian gets what she wants, he'll be back in our lives, probably running the company. Then we need to find him first, Vincent said. Turn him to our side. He's angry at Vivian for lying to him his whole life. Maybe that anger is stronger than his greed. The plan was insane, relying on the cooperation of our enemies to defeat our other enemy. But it was all we had. Marcus left immediately for the federal prison where Trevor was held. Vincent started reaching out to contacts, trying to locate Drake. Cassandra worked on securing our assets, moving money to safe accounts in case everything went wrong. And I did something I never thought I'd do. I called Vivian. I've thought about your offer, I said when she answered. I want to meet. Tonight. Alone. Smart girl, she said. I knew you'd see reason. The Rainbow Room. 8 o'clock. Come alone. No security. No recording devices. We'll discuss the transition of Power.ng to find Vivian's weakness and exploit it. If you're still watching, please hit that subscribe button and share this story with someone who loves complex family dramas. Leave a comment about whether you think Vincent should pay for his past crimes or if Gloria's manipulation absolves him. That evening, I entered the Rainbow Room, the famous restaurant on the 65th floor of Rockefeller Center. Vivian was already there, sitting at a corner table with a view of the entire city, sipping champagne like she'd already won. Punctual, she said as I sat down. I always appreciated that about the working class. You understand the value of time. Let's skip the insults, I said. You want the company. I want my father to stay out of prison. There has to be a middle ground. Oh, there is, Vivian said, pulling out a contract. You sign over your rights to the Hawthorne inheritance. Vincent remains as CEO, but under my supervision. Drake gets 40% of the company. You get a trust fund, $10 million, enough to live comfortably but not enough to cause trouble. And everyone keeps their secrets. And if I refuse, then your father goes to prison, the company crashes, and you get nothing. Well, except the satisfaction of knowing you stood on principle while everything burned around you. I pretended to consider it. Buying time. Marcus should be at the prison by now. Vincent should be finding Drake. Everything depended on timing. There's one thing I don't understand, I said. Why do you care so much? You're already rich from the divorce settlement. Why do you need the company? Vivian's expression changed, becoming something raw and honest for the first time since I'd met her. Because I built it, she said. Oh, Vincent had the name, the initial capital. But I'm the one who made the connections, who smoothed over the problems, who handled the dirty work while he played the noble CEO. Every major deal in the last 25 years happened because of me. And then you show up, the daughter of a dead whore, and suddenly I'm nothing? No. I've earned this empire with blood and sacrifice. I won't let you take it. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. We have it. Trevor provided everything. Stand by. Another buzz. Vincent. Found Drake. He's with me. He wants to talk to his mother. I smiled, and Vivian's eyes narrowed. What are you smiling about? I'm smiling because you just admitted on recording that you were involved in the company's illegal activities for 25 years, I said, pulling out my phone to show her it had been recording the entire conversation. And because your son wants to talk to you. I turned the phone toward her, and Drake's face appeared on a video call. Behind him was Vincent, and behind Vincent was a wall of federal agents. Hello, Mother, Drake said, his voice cold. Or should I call you Vivian, since we're being honest about family relationships now? I just finished giving a full statement to the FBI about your activities. The bribes you paid, the officials you blackmailed, the murders you arranged, including the attempt on Sophia's life when she was a baby. You wouldn't dare, Vivian breathed. You're implicating yourself. Actually, I'm not, Drake said. See, I was a minor for most of it, and the rest I can claim ignorance about. But you're looking at life in prison. Unless, of course, you want to make a deal. What kind of deal? Vivian's voice was barely a whisper. You destroy the video of Vincent. You sign away all claims to the Hawthorne empire. You confess to your crimes and accept a plea bargain. In exchange, I'll testify that you were coerced by Gloria, that you were another victim of her manipulation. You might get 20 years instead of life. With good behavior, you could be out in 12. Vivian looked at me, then at her son on the screen, then at the glittering city beyond the windows. Her empire, built on lies and blood, was crumbling before her eyes. You planned this, she said to me. All of it. You're more like Gloria than you want to admit. No, I said. I'm like Rosa. She taught me that survival sometimes means making hard choices, but it never means losing your humanity. You lost yours a long time ago, Vivian. This is just the consequence finally catching up. The federal agents entered the restaurant then, badges out, weapons visible but not drawn. Vivian stood slowly, maintaining her dignity even in defeat. As they cuffed her, she looked at me one last time. You think you've won, she said. But the Hawthorne curse doesn't end with me or Gloria. Power corrupts. Sophia. You'll see. One day, you'll be sitting where I'm sitting, justifying terrible choices for the greater good. And someone younger, more idealistic, will be destroying you. Maybe, I said, but at least I'll have had the chance to try to be better. That's more than you ever did. As they led her away, Drake appeared in the doorway. He looked older, worn down by the weight of truth and consequences. He approached slowly, no longer the arrogant man who'd threatened me in the park. I'm sorry, he said simply. For everything. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I wanted you to know. I'm going to testify against her, help put her away. Then I'm leaving New York. starting over somewhere where the Hawthorne name doesn't mean anything. I studied him, this man who'd been raised as my brother but was really my enemy's son. You could stay, I said, surprising both of us. Not as a Hawthorne heir, but as family. Vincent raised you. That has to count for something. Drake shook his head. Some bridges can't be rebuilt. Some lies cut too deep. But thank you for the offer. And for not letting them charge me as an accomplice. I know you could have. He left then, and I was alone in the restaurant where Vivian had thought she'd claim victory. Instead, it had become the site of her downfall. The video of Vincent was destroyed, the blackmail neutralized, the last of Gloria's legacy dismantled. But as I stood there, looking out at the city lights, I couldn't shake Vivian's final words. The Hawthorne curse. Power corrupts. Would I become like them, eventually? Would the weight of billions, the responsibility of thousands of employees, the constant threats and temptations, would they change me? My phone rang. Vincent, come home, he said. We have something to celebrate. Marcus found something in Trevor's files. Documentation that Gloria killed Richard Sterling, not me. The video was real, but the hit was never carried out. Gloria got to Richard first, made it look like Vincent's plan had succeeded. I've been carrying guilt for a murder I didn't commit. Relief flooded through me. Vincent was truly innocent, at least of murder. He'd made a terrible decision in a moment of fear and youth, but he hadn't actually killed anyone. It didn't erase the intent, but it meant he wouldn't go to prison. It meant we could rebuild without that shadow hanging over us. As I left the Rainbow Room, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. From a maid on a rooftop, saving a suicidal billionaire, to his daughter, heir to an empire built on secrets and blood. Rosa would be proud, I thought, that I'd survived, that I'd found the truth, that I'd chosen justice over revenge. But the story wasn't over. There was still a wedding to plan, a company to reform, and a family to heal. The poor maid had become a billionaire's daughter, but more importantly, she'd become someone who could change things, who could break the cycle of corruption and greed that had defined the Hawthorne legacy for so long. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new threats, new choices. But tonight, I was going home to my father, my mother, my family. And for the first time in 25 years, the Hawthorne penthouse would be filled with truth instead of lies, love instead of manipulation, hope instead of despair. The war was over. The rebuilding could finally begin. 1 year later, I stood in front of the mirror in the bridal suite of the Hawthorne estate in the Hamptons, barely recognizing the woman staring back at me. The designer wedding dress, a gift from Cassandra, fit perfectly, its pearl-adorned bodice catching the morning light. My hair was styled elegantly, a far cry from the messy ponytail I'd worn as a maid. But the eyes were the same, those green-gold eyes that had started everything when Vincent recognized them on that rooftop. Today, I was marrying Blake Winters, the young doctor who'd treated Vincent after Gloria's poisoning attempt. He'd stayed by our family's side through the trials, the media circus, the corporate battles. He'd fallen in love not with Sophia Hawthorne the heiress, but with the woman who still sometimes forgot she wasn't Sienna Brooks the maid, who still checked price tags from habit, who still visited Rosa's grave every Sunday. Vincent knocked on the door, entering in his tuxedo, looking healthier than he had in years. The shadows under his eyes were gone. The weight of decades of guilt finally lifted. "You look beautiful," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Rosa would be so proud." I touched the small locket around my neck, containing Rosa's picture. She was here in spirit, the woman who'd saved me, raised me, loved me when no one else would. "Are you ready for this?" Vincent asked. Not just the wedding, but everything else? I knew what he meant. Today wasn't just my wedding day. It was also the day I would officially become CEO of Hawthorne Industries. Vincent was stepping down, choosing to focus on philanthropy, on making amends for the damage Gloria had done over the decades. At 26, I would become one of the youngest CEOs of a Fortune 500 company. "I'm ready," I said, and I meant it. The past year had been a trial by fire. Learning the business, restructuring the company, weeding out Gloria's corrupt associates, implementing ethical practices that had the board screaming about profit margins. But we'd survived, even thrived. Stock prices were up, Employee satisfaction was at an all-time high, and we'd established the Rosa Martinez Foundation for Abandoned Children. Cassandra appeared in the doorway, radiant in her mother-of-the-bride dress. She and Vincent had been slowly rebuilding their relationship, working through the trauma and lies that had separated them. They weren't together romantically, too much had happened for that, but they were friends, united in their love for me. "The guests are all seated," she said, "including some unexpected ones." "Who?" I asked, suddenly nervous. "Drake, for one," she said. "He's in the back row, looking very different. And someone else, someone who insisted on seeing you before the ceremony." She stepped aside, and Marcus entered, but he wasn't alone. Behind him was a woman in a wheelchair, thin and frail but with eyes that sparkled with life. My heart stopped. "The doctors said it was impossible," Marcus said, grinning. "But she woke up from the coma 3 months ago. She's been in rehabilitation, learning to walk and talk again. She wanted to surprise you today." The woman smiled, and though her face was changed by illness and time, I knew that smile. It was the one that had greeted me every morning for 25 years. "Rosa," I whispered, falling to my knees beside the wheelchair. "How is this possible? They said you died. I was there when the machines stopped." Her voice was weak but clear. "Sometimes, mi amor, love is stronger than death. I had to come back. I had to see you like this, successful, happy, loved. I had to see you become everything I always knew you could be." I sobbed, holding her frail hands, feeling the miracle of their warmth. Vincent, Cassandra, and Marcus gave us a moment alone, understanding the sacred bond between us. "I'm sorry I couldn't tell you the truth sooner," Rosa said. "About who you were, about your parents. But you understand now, yes? Why I had to keep you safe." "I understand everything," I said. "And I love you for it. You're my mother, Rosa. Biology doesn't matter. You're the one who raised me, who sacrificed for me, who loved me unconditionally." Rosa touched my face gently. "And now you have your biological parents too. You have everything, mi amor. A full family, a legacy, a future. This is what I prayed for every night." The wedding march began to play in the distance. Rosa squeezed my hand. "Go," she said. "Your young man is waiting. And he's a good one, that Dr. Blake. He sat by my bedside for weeks, talking to me, telling me about how wonderful you are, how much he loves you. He'll take care of you." I kissed her forehead, then stood, smoothing my dress. Vincent returned, offering his arm. "Ready to walk your old man down the aisle?" he asked with a smile. We walked together through the estate gardens, hundreds of guests rising as we passed. I saw familiar faces from both worlds, the Brooklyn neighborhood where I'd grown up and the Manhattan elite I now moved among. They were all here, witnessing the union of two worlds that should never have met. Blake stood at the altar, his eyes bright with tears as he watched me approach. He was everything Drake and the entitled rich boys weren't: kind, genuine, dedicated to helping others. He'd fallen in love with me when I was nobody, and he loved me still now that I was somebody. As Vincent placed my hand in Blake's, he whispered, "Be happy, my daughter. You've earned it." The ceremony was beautiful but brief. As Blake and I exchanged vows, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. From that rooftop on New Year's Eve to this moment, it had been a path marked by revelations, betrayals, and ultimately, redemption. When the pastor pronounced us husband and wife, and Blake kissed me with a tenderness that made my knees weak, the crowd erupted in applause. But I was looking at my family, Vincent and Cassandra in the front row, Marcus beside them, Rosa in her wheelchair attended by a nurse but smiling brilliantly. The reception was held in the grand ballroom, transformed into a winter wonderland even though it was spring. As Blake and I shared our first dance, I noticed Drake standing alone near the back, wearing a simple suit instead of his usual designer clothing. During a break in the festivities, I approached him. He looked up, surprised. "I didn't think you'd want me here," he said. "Your family," I replied. "Complicated, messy, problematic family, but family nonetheless. Vincent raised you. That makes you my brother in every way that matters." Drake's eyes filled with tears. "I've been in therapy," he said quietly. "Working through everything, The lies, the anger, the entitlement. I'm teaching now, actually. High school mathematics in the Bronx. It's humbling, being around kids who have nothing but still have hope. It reminds me of what's really important. I'm proud of you, I said, meaning it. That takes courage, starting over. Not as much courage as forgiving the people who tried to destroy you, he said. I heard you've been writing to my mother in prison. It was true. I'd been sending letters to Vivian, not out of forgiveness exactly, but out of a need to understand how someone could become so corrupted by power and greed. She'd never responded, but I kept writing. Everyone deserves a chance at redemption, I said. Even her. Drake nodded, then surprised me by pulling out an envelope. She gave me this when I visited her last week. Asked me to give it to you today. I opened it carefully. Inside was a single paragraph in Vivian's precise handwriting. Sophia, you were right. I lost my humanity long ago, traded it for power that turned to ash in my hands. I don't ask for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that watching you this past year, seeing how you've transformed the company with integrity instead of intimidation, with compassion instead of cruelty, has shown me what I could have been if I'd made different choices. Don't become me. Don't let the power corrupt you. Stay the girl who saved a man on a rooftop because it was the right thing to do. The world needs more of her. V. I folded the letter carefully, tucking it into my bouquet. Even Vivian, in her way, was trying to change. Prison had given her time to reflect, to see the emptiness of what she'd pursued so ruthlessly. As the reception continued, Blake pulled me aside, his hand resting gently on my stomach. When are you going to tell them? He asked, smiling. I placed my hand over his. Tonight, I said. After the toasts. Our little secret can wait a few more hours. Twins, he said, still amazed. The ultrasound confirmed it yesterday. 2 heartbeats, 2 little miracles. Cassandra says twins run in the Sterling family, I said. Another gift from my heritage. As if summoned by her name, Cassandra appeared, champagne in hand. She looked at us knowingly. You're glowing, she said to me. And Blake looks like he's about to burst with a secret. Should I assume there's an announcement coming? Tonight, I promised. Let's just enjoy this moment first. The sun was setting over the ocean, visible through the ballroom windows when Vincent stood to make his toast. The room fell silent. A year ago, he began. I stood on a rooftop, ready to end my life. I had lost everything that mattered to me, my daughter, the woman I loved, my faith in family. And then a maid, a young woman with no reason to care about a stranger's pain, saved me. She pulled me back from the edge, literally and figuratively. He looked at me, his eyes shining. That maid turned out to be my daughter, the child I'd mourned for 25 years. But more than that, she turned out to be my salvation. Sophia has not only reclaimed her birthright, she's transformed it. The Hawthorne Empire, built on secrets and blood, is becoming something new under her leadership. Something honorable. Something good. He raised his glass. To Sophia and Blake. May your love be stronger than the forces that tried to keep you apart. May your future be brighter than your past. And may you always remember that family isn't just about blood, it's about choice, loyalty, and love. Everyone drank, and then it was my turn to speak. I stood, Blake's hand in mine, and looked out at the assembled crowd. They say you can't choose your family, I began. But I disagree. Rosa chose to save me, to raise me, to love me when she had every reason to walk away. Vincent chose to believe in me when logic said I was an imposter. Cassandra chose to return, to risk everything to protect me. Marcus chose loyalty over safety. Even Drake chose to change, to become better than his upbringing programmed him to be. I paused, my hand moving instinctively to my stomach. Family is about choice. And Blake and I have chosen to expand ours. We're having twins, due in 6 months. The next generation of Hawthorns, who will grow up knowing they are loved, wanted, and free to become whoever they choose to be. The room erupted in congratulations. Vincent actually hooped, something I'd never heard him do. Cassandra was crying and laughing simultaneously. Rosa was clapping as hard as her frail hands could manage. Even Drake was smiling, genuinely happy for the first time since I'd met him. Later, as Blake and I stood on the terrace, watching the stars appear over the ocean, he asked, "Do you ever think about how different your life would have been if you hadn't gone to that rooftop?" "Every day," I admitted. "But I wouldn't change it. The pain, the revelations, the battles, they all led me here. To you, to this family, to this chance to make a real difference." My phone buzzed with a news alert. Trevor Kane had been found dead in his prison cell, apparent suicide. He'd left a note confessing to all his crimes, including the attempt to kill me as a baby. The last enemy had fallen, not through our actions, but through his own despair. "It's over," Blake said, reading over my shoulder. "Really, truly over?" "No," I said, turning to face him. "It's just beginning. We have a company to run, a family to raise, a legacy to rebuild. The story of the poor maid who saved a billionaire is over. The story of what comes next, that's just starting." As we kissed under the stars, I thought I felt Rose's blessing in the warm breeze, Vincent's pride in the solid ground beneath our feet, and somewhere, somehow, the promise that the twins I carried would know only love, never the pain and secrets that had defined the previous generation. The Hawthorne curse was broken. In its place was something infinitely more powerful: hope. If you've stayed with us till this moment, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Please subscribe to our channel for more emotional, powerful stories of family, redemption, and the triumph of love over greed. Share this story with someone who needs to believe that no matter how dark the past, the future can always be brighter. And remember, sometimes the most extraordinary stories begin with the simplest acts of human kindness. But wait a bit, because this incredible journey is still on. The poor maid had pulled a suicidal billionaire from a roof and learned he was her father. But more importantly, she had learned that family is not defined by blood or money or power. It's defined by love, sacrifice, and the courage to choose each other again and again, no matter what secrets the past might hold. The December wind whipped around me as I stood on the rooftop of Hawthorne Tower, but this time, I wasn't alone, and no one was contemplating jumping. My 5-year-old twins, Aurora and Gabriel, played in the newly constructed rooftop garden, their laughter carrying on the wind as they chased each other through the paths lined with Rose's favorite flowers. This rooftop, once a place of despair and near tragedy, had been transformed into a memorial garden. A place of life, of hope, of remembrance. A bronze plaque at the entrance read, "The Rosa Martinez Memorial Garden, where every life matters." Blake emerged from the greenhouse we'd built, carrying hot chocolate for the children. He'd reduced his hours at the hospital to help raise our twins while I ran the company, a decision that had raised eyebrows among his colleagues but had never caused him a moment's regret. "Mommy, look," Aurora called out, pointing at the Manhattan skyline. "It's snowing." Indeed it was, the first snow of winter, falling gently on the city below. Gabriel ran to me, his green-gold eyes, so like mine, so like Cassandra's, bright with excitement. "Grandpa Vincent says snow means the angels are happy," he said seriously. "Is that true?" I picked him up, feeling his small weight in my arms, marveling as I always did that these two perfect beings existed because I'd chosen to save a stranger one night. "I think Grandpa Vincent might be right," I said. "The angels have a lot to be happy about today." And they did. The morning paper had announced that the Rosa Martinez Foundation had just opened its 100th shelter for abandoned and abused children. The Hawthorne Company stock had reached an all-time high, not through ruthless tactics but through ethical innovation and genuine care for employees. And just an hour ago, I'd received word that Vivian had been granted early release for good behavior and her cooperation in solving several of Gloria's old crimes. But the biggest news was yet to come. Vincent arrived on the rooftop, moving slower than he used to but still commanding in his presence. Beside him was Cassandra, and surprisingly, Marcus, who'd married Cassandra 2 years ago in a quiet ceremony. The revelation that they were actually uncle and niece by blood had been strange, but their romantic relationship was a fabrication, and the real love that had grown between them during their shared vigil over my life was something beautiful. "Is everyone here?" Vincent asked, and I nodded, though I wasn't sure who else we were expecting. The rooftop door opened once more, and my heart nearly stopped. Drake walked through, but he wasn't alone. Beside him was a woman in her 60s, thin, weathered, but walking with dignity despite the years of imprisonment. Vivian looked nothing like the polished society woman who'd threatened me years ago. Prison had stripped away the artifice, leaving something raw but perhaps more honest. "Hello, Sophia," she said quietly. "Thank you for agreeing to this." I hadn't exactly agreed, but Drake had called that morning, begging for this one meeting. His mother had something important to say, something that couldn't wait. "Mrs. Hawthorne," I said formally, not sure what else to call her. "Vivian is fine," she said. "I haven't been Mrs. Hawthorne for a long time." She looked at the twins, who were hiding behind Blake's legs, sensing the tension. "They're beautiful. They have your eyes. Why are you here?" Vincent asked, his voice cold. "The restraining order has been lifted," Vivian said. "Sophia arranged it yesterday, though she didn't tell you." She reached into her bag, pulling out a thick folder. "I'm here to right one last wrong. Or try to, anyway." She handed me the folder. Inside were documents, old ones, with official seals and signatures I didn't recognize. 20 years ago, Gloria set up a secret trust, Vivian explained. Billions of dollars, hidden in offshore accounts, stolen from the company over decades. She planned to use it to control everything from the shadows, even after her death. But she made one mistake. She put it in my name, thinking I'd be her puppet forever. Vincent's intake of breath was sharp. The missing money. We always wondered how Gloria had funded her operations, her bribes, her murders. Vivian nodded. "It's all here. Every account, every password, every penny she stole. Nearly $3 billion. And I'm signing it all over to the Rosa Martinez Foundation. Let the money Gloria stole through blood and murder go toward saving children instead." I stared at the documents, hardly believing what I was seeing. This would make the foundation one of the largest charitable organizations in the world. We could save thousands, maybe millions of children. "Why?" I asked. "Why would you do this?" Vivian looked at Drake, then at my children, then finally at me. "Because prison gave me something I never had before. Time to think. Time to remember the girl I was before I met Gloria, before I became consumed by greed and power. I was a teacher once. Did you know that? I taught first grade in Queens. I loved children, wanted dozens of them. But Gloria convinced me that power was more important than love, that money was more valuable than family. She moved closer, and I saw tears in her eyes. "I tried to kill you when you were 3 days old. There's no forgiveness for that, and I'm not asking for it. But maybe, just maybe, I can save other children with Gloria's blood money. Maybe that can be my penance." The twins had crept closer, their curiosity overcoming their fear. Gabriel, always the braver one, tugged on Vivian's coat. "Are you the bad lady Grandpa told us about?" he asked with a child's directness. Vivian knelt down to his level, her joints protesting. "Yes," she said simply. "I was a very bad lady. I did terrible things because I wanted money and power more than anything else." "But you're sorry now?" Aurora asked, joining her brother. "I am," Vivian said. "But being sorry doesn't erase what I did. That's why I'm trying to do good things now, to balance out the bad." Gabriel considered this with the seriousness only a 5-year-old could muster. "Mommy says everyone deserves a second chance if they really want to change." "Do you really want to change?" "More than anything," Vivian whispered. "Then okay," Gabriel said, and held out his small hand. "I'm Gabriel. This is my sister Aurora. We're 5 3/4. Vivian shook his hand solemnly, then Aurora's, and I saw something shift in her face. A lightness that hadn't been there before. The simple acceptance of children had done what years of legal battles couldn't. It had begun to heal something broken inside her. Vincent cleared his throat. "The documents are legal. Binding." "Completely," Marcus said, having reviewed them quickly. "This is real, Vincent. $3 billion for the foundation. It's extraordinary." Drake stepped forward. "Mom's moving to Montana after this," he said. "She bought a small house, plans to volunteer at the local school. Start over completely. A teacher again," Vivian said softly. "After all these years, I just want to teach children to read, to love books, to be kind. Simple things. Good things. Blake had been quiet throughout all this, but now he spoke. The boys in that Montana town won't know who you were. They'll just know who you choose to be now. That's a gift, the chance to redefine yourself. As I signed the papers accepting the donation on behalf of the foundation, I thought about the strange journey that had brought us all here. The maid who'd become an heiress. The villain who'd become a penitent. The broken family that had somehow pieced itself back together. Different but stronger. There's something else, Vincent said once the papers were signed. Something I've been waiting for the right moment to announce. I'm sick. Pancreatic cancer, stage 3. The doctors say I have maybe a year, possibly 2 with treatment. The rooftop went silent except for the wind and the distant sound of the city below. I felt the ground shift beneath me, that familiar sensation of the world changing in an instant. How long have you known? Cassandra asked, her voice breaking. 6 months, Vincent admitted. I wanted to see the twins start school, see the foundation reach this milestone, see Sophia fully established as CEO. I've done all that. Now I can focus on what time I have left. We're going to fight this, I said, moving to embrace him. The best doctors, experimental treatments, whatever it takes. Vincent held me tight. I know you will, my fierce daughter. But I'm not afraid anymore. I've had 5 years I shouldn't have had. 5 years to know you, to see you married, to hold my grandchildren. That's more than I ever dreamed of on that rooftop. Aurora and Gabriel had absorbed the adult tension and came to wrap their arms around Vincent's legs, not fully understanding but knowing their grandfather needed comfort. We'll take care of you, Grandpa, Aurora said solemnly. Mommy says family takes care of each other. That they do, little one, Vincent said, lifting her up despite his illness. That they do. As the snow continued to fall, we stood together on that transformed rooftop, a strange assembly of former enemies and newfound family. Vivian signed the last of the papers and prepared to leave for her new life. As she reached the door, she turned back. Sophia, she called. Thank you. For the second chance. For showing me that power isn't about controlling others, it's about having the strength to change yourself. Everyone deserves redemption if they're willing to work for it, I replied. Even you. Especially you. She nodded and left, Drake following after a round of goodbyes. He was teaching full-time now, had even won a citywide award for excellence in education. The man who'd once threatened me with a gun now spent his days inspiring teenagers from underprivileged backgrounds. As the family dispersed, Blake and I remained on the rooftop with the twins, watching the snow fall on the city. The garden Rosa had never seen but would have loved was being transformed into a winter wonderland. Tell us the story again, Mommy, Gabriel asked, settling into my lap. About how you saved Grandpa. It was a story I'd told them many times, edited for young ears, but they never tired of it. As I began, once upon a time, there was a brave maid who worked in a very tall building. I realized that this was how our family legacy would continue. Not through board meetings or stock prices, but through stories told to children, through values passed down, through the choice to help strangers in need. Vincent's diagnosis would bring new challenges, new pain. But we would face them as we'd faced everything else. Together. The Hawthorne curse had become the Hawthorne blessing. The company built on secrets had become transparent. The fortune gained through blood was being given away to save lives. And it had all started with a simple act of compassion on a rooftop, when a poor maid had chosen to save a stranger's life, not knowing he was her father, not knowing she was saving herself too. The twins fell asleep in our arms as the snow continued to fall, and Blake and I carried them inside, leaving the rooftop garden to its peaceful transformation. But I looked back one last time, remembering that desperate night 6 years ago. Thank you, I whispered to the spot where Vincent had stood on the ledge. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for letting me find you. The wind carried my words away, but somehow, I knew they'd been heard. By Vincent, by Rosa's spirit, by all the angels Gabriel believed were making the snow fall. The poor maid's story was complete. The billionaire's daughter's story would continue. But most importantly, the story of a family redeemed by love, transformed by truth, and united by choice would be told for generations to come. And somewhere in Montana, a former villain would teach a child to read, proving that even the darkest hearts could find light, if given the chance. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey of family secrets, redemption, and the power of forgiveness. Please subscribe to our channel and share this story with anyone who needs to be reminded that it's never too late to change. Never too late to choose love over greed, family over fortune. Remember, the most extraordinary transformations often begin with the simplest acts of human kindness.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.